this is there. You don't have programming here. This is about system administration.
System administration.
System and network administration.
Okay.
So the first two books are from CompTIA. So these are all vendor certifications. All are vendor books. Means vendor subjects. Okay. So these two are from CompTIA.
CompTIA.
Okay. TA means technical infrastructure administration. So this is about basic hardware and things like that, and networking, and that is N+. You also have security plus, but we are not dealing with that. And then these 4 books are Microsoft servers. These 3 books are Microsoft server, and this is Microsoft client, that is Windows 8. And finally, this is Cisco, CCNA.
Cisco.
So it's basically a networking track. So last class we saw about microprocessors and RAM. Okay.
RAM. Okay. Random access.
Introduction to hardware.
Now this class we will see about BIOS.
BIOS, yeah.
Output system. Okay, so what BIOS basically is, it's a firmware.
It's a firmware.
Okay, so there are different ways, right? Software, hardware,
and firmware.
So firmware is basically a software which is burnt into the chips and which is not modified.
Oh,
okay.
So
like say software is something that you can install, you can modify, right? Like your Chrome or simple software like calculator or the operating system itself, right? But firmware is something which is burnt into the chip and it's fixed there.
Oh, you cannot
you put something in the robot's code or something like that.
You can alter that.
It's normally not altered.
Yeah.
It's something permanent.
Permanent.
So that's what we call firmware.
So it's firmware.
So firmware interface, also known as ROM BIOS. So ROM, I think in the last class we saw what is ROM. ROM stands for read-only memory. So actually BIOS is a chip in the motherboard where programs are written. Okay. So they are giving a little bit history here.
So that's
1976.
Alright. The software built into PCs for software computers.
So BIOS, so the basic job of BIOS is to initialize, test hardware parts and load OS or other programs using mass memory devices such as hard disk, CD-ROM. So basically you can think like when you power on the computer.
It communicates, the hardware communicates with each other.
Yeah, when you power on the computer, the person who is taking control primarily is BIOS. And once it finishes everything, then it will hand over the control to the operating system. So that is the point when you see your login screen. So everything happening before the login screen from the power on is the things that are done by the BIOS. So some of the things that include initializing the hard disk, testing the hardware, checking whether all the peripherals are working fine, okay, whether everything is getting proper signals and these kind of things. Okay. So that's the basic job of BIOS, basic input-output system. So basically it's test the input-output, your keyboard, mouse and all those things. And it has several steps, like you can say power on, self-test, post, that's one of the process of BIOS that happens. It basically checks the power aspect of all the devices. Right?
Power related na yung mga kuryente. Alright. That's this. Lahat to ginagaagad mo pagka-start.
Alright, so post is used for testing, identifying, initializing the RAM, CPU and DMA controllers.
Okay.
I think DMA stands for it's kind of chips. direct memory access.
Direct memory access.
Okay, it's a kind of chips, okay, memory chips. So basically it checks the motherboard circuits and these kind of things. Okay, so the last lesson we have studied the CPU. CPU is the brain of the computer. RAM is the memory. So the process is called booting or bootstrapping, right? This is the commonly used term. Like when you start the computer, we say it's booting. Or even the phone, when you power off, we say it's booting. Right? So that's what happens in the post.
BIOS components and features to remember.
Alright, now BIOS is a chip basically. If you see the motherboard, you can see the BIOS chip, which is basically a read-only chip. Now there are different varieties, different components in BIOS. So one of them is BIOS ROM, okay, read-only memory. So BIOS ROM is main hardware part. It is located in an electrically erasable read-only memory. So EEPROM. So this is a kind of ROM chip. Okay, electrically erasable. That means it's not like your RAM. You can't just wipe it out and reprogram it. You have to use different method to erase it.
Okay.
So even ROM, as the name says, read-only memory, but still you can do writing also, but you need some other means.
BIOS. Sir, this is different from the ROM BIOS and this is BIOS ROM. So how is this any different from that? Is it already the start of
now this is one of the component of BIOS.
One of the
BIOS
components.
ROM.
Okay.
You can see, so they are giving this as a BIOS chip.
Okay.
It's an old one. And then you have BIOS CMOS memory, that's another component. It's basically all our chips. Okay, they do different activities. You don't see any difference from the outside. Physically, you don't see any difference. The difference is in its working. Okay, what they are meant for. Some are meant for checking the power thing. Some are meant for checking the software details. Okay, we actually can't tell what are the intrinsic details. We just have a common idea. That's it. That's what we do. Now, you see, these things are, if you go deep, these are advanced electronics. Okay, if you want to understand, you need the electronics background. Okay, so right now we are just seeing is the common things. We just have to know what it is. That's it. Okay, a brief thing. You can read further. If you read it, it will tell you what every chip is meant for. Let's say, for example, just go for a random line. Okay, see, I'm just going directly through the book. Okay. So that if I want, I can go to the slides. But slides you won't get the detail points.
Just visual.
So there is a tiny. So in case of we say BIOS CMOS memory. Okay. So here there is a tiny battery used for trickling small charges in order to ensure the data is always preserved. Okay. So this chip is connected to a small battery. Okay, now you will see the battery in a way. Yeah, this is the CMOS battery. Okay, it is linked to this chip. Okay, now
it's like in watch.
Yeah, it's same like watch, same like same like your brain, for example. Right? Even if you're how do you say that? Even if a person is dead, okay, scientifically, even if a person is dead for 8 minutes or so, there will be charges in the brain. So the same thing. Okay, I'll give you another example, practical example. Say for example, you have your system time, isn't it?
Yes.
Right? Let's say for example, now this computer is an electronic or electrical device, right? So if you switch off your computer, okay, let's say you switch off your computer, you come back after 1 year. You don't switch on at all, okay? No electrical connection, nothing, no power. You come back after 1 year. So which date and time will it show? Will it show the updated date and time or not updated date and time? Updated. So how does the computer know?
By time and date, and if it's connected to the website, like
No
time
internet.
date.
No internet.
internet.
No internet.
Even if the power is off, the battery inside of it
The
makes
battery
it so,
keeps on ticking
yeah.
like a clock.
But there's one thing. I had this one HP laptop, and if you remove the battery, for some reason it doesn't remember the time.
Then your CMOS battery is defective.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's
That's
not
very
good.
standard by now, sir, right?
Yeah.
In every PC.
In every motherboard you have this. Okay.
Yeah. idea.
Welcome.
Thanks, man.
And how are you?
I'm Lawrence. How do you do?
I'm good. How about you?
Good day.
New batch students?
No, they're transferred from. You're doing second year on the same day?
No, different.
Different.
We do
Not on Sunday,
Every-
Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah?
Oh no, we do it by Saturday,
Saturday.
Monday, and Wednesday. Yeah. So it's a full week for us, and one time off.
It requires less power as compared to other semiconductors technologies. So basically, there are some few variables that that the computer should not forget. Okay, so few values. So those values, the computer has to preserve it no matter what. Okay, no matter even if you turn it on after 10 years. I don't know, for 10 years you will have the charge, but still, it's a relatively battery, right?
Yeah.
So the 3 watts battery lithium. So whatever it can, it will preserve. Okay. So one good example is date and time, but there can be several others. I think I will show you in this example. We can restart it and show you the BIOS of this system. What are the things? CMOS checksum error. Yeah, this is another
What's that
technical term.
Okay. Check some.
It's an error message.
CMOS is used as a code for detecting errors.
Okay.
Each time BIOS settings are changed, checksum is produced. So you know this BIOS, right? So BIOS is a firmware. Now if you want to change that firmware, if you want to change the settings of the firmware, you have a BIOS interface also, software. Have you seen the blue screen when you
Yes.
restart?
Yeah.
You change the time.
And to set up, that's BIOS. Okay. So when anything is changed, okay, this CMOS memory will calculate a checksum. Now checksum is actually an error detection mechanism. Okay, error detection is not like your programming error.
Yeah.
It's like, say for example, in case if there is a data loss. Say for example, you did something, okay, and the data didn't quite, the data traveled through some kind of packets or something. So it missed one packet. So because of that, there is some change. So it becomes invalid. Okay, let's say for example, you are writing a command, okay. What if this S is missed in the BIOS? So BIO, it's totally a different thing. So that's an error. Okay, so here it's checksum basically checks the missing of data. If there is any missing data or something, so this checksum, it has an algorithm to find the even, odd, something like that.
Okay.
So
So
it has a mathematical formula.
what happens if it finds an error?
If it finds an error, it will ask to again check the backup data.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that's how it fixes the error.
Hey, hi.
Okay. So finding errors in the BIOS is also the job of this CMOS memory. So a lot of things are there. You can just read it.
32-bit.
Yeah, here you have types of BIOS. So those are basically BIOS components, those types of chips. Here types of BIOS, you have a 32-bit version and 64-bit version. You have an idea, right? What is this 32-bit, 64-bit?
Yes.
Now what bit are we using now?
64.
64, right? You can check out, right? Use Windows key and password shortcut.
Okay, 64-bit operating system.
Yeah. So if you want to get, so this is system properties, right? If you want to get system properties, you can you can actually right click in properties or Windows key and pause break. So you can see it's a 64-bit processor and 64-bit operating system. You can't have otherwise, right? If you have a 32-bit processor, you can't have a 64-bit operating system.
Yeah.
It has to be, matching.
Yeah. 32-bit programs can work on 64-bit, but 64-bit programs can work on 32-bit
Yeah.
computers.
So 32-bit is your previous versions.
Yeah.
Previously we used to have, now we advanced to 64-bit. It's basically the amount of data that can be transferred from the OS to the hardware.
Yeah.
Okay, hardware means the CPU. So your BIOS also has this architecture. So it depends on the motherboard's architecture. Last class we saw motherboard, the same thing. So here there are some differences. Bus support, bus means the data connections. CPU support. 32-bit CPU supports only 32-bit BIOS. 64-bit CPU only supports 64-bit BIOS. Memory, here's another important thing. Like if you are increasing your memory, if you are using 32-bit motherboard,
Okay.
you can only go up to 4 GB max.
Only 4 gigabytes for 32-bit motherboard.
So if you are using 64-bit, you can go up to 64 GB
And upgradable.
and upgradable upon a ROM update and memory. It's the motherboard only.
As are we gonna open a computer? I mean, practically we will gonna
See
open
the components.
Yes,
Yeah.
the component.
Will we hands-on open it?
We will see. I think we have to go to the store for this.
Okay.
I'll check what is there.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see in the break after break also.
Okay, sure.
That's fine.
It is also available. 64-bit and backward compatible.
Configure.
Yeah, these are basically the BIOS settings that you can find in the BIOS GUI or UI, user interface. So how do you enter this UI is when you restart or when you start a computer. Different motherboard architectures, different motherboards have different keys. I think in case of Dell motherboard it's F12. Some have F2, F1, control escape, delete. There are different combinations. You will have, for a short duration, it will tell you which key to press. Basically, these are the things that you can do.
Hindi ko mag-gets.
Flashing.
Parang pinagbuka ba niya lahat? Di ba na ano ka na nila? Hindi ko alam. Narinig ko yun. Hindi, di ba? Meron kang hands-on sa ano-on.
Yeah, this is the thing that you are
Hindi ko
talking about. Like we can actually open the motherboard and we can try these things. But these things, this book is actually a little old. Okay, this CompTIA Plus, it's a little bit old. It's not actually the latest one. So the motherboard architecture and everything is a little bit old. So here it's something regarding changing the jumper settings of the CMOS battery. Okay, now we have to see the motherboard. Then you will see. Okay, I will show you the motherboard after break or while break. Removing, reinserting CMOS battery. Some of the basic things. Okay, it's not much.
Ang soldering natin gagawin. Sa dulo meron tayong soldering gagawin o parang assembly na. Wala.
So this is something regarding updating the BIOS software, BIOS firmware. If you want to upgrade the firmware, you can download it and you can update it. But these are some of the risky things. Okay, you have to download it in the flash in the exe or format, and you have to put it, you have to boot it. Okay, and you have to do few things. If you have a spare computer, you can do this. Okay, and this is the BIOS firmware version. This is the old version of BIOS UI.
Oh yeah, classic.
Hindi na ganyan.
98 ba yun? Baka naman ito
There are actually many features, okay? We are not seeing anything in detail here. We're just taking a look. So you can set passwords. You know, even if you want to get into the BIOS, you can set password. You can set password for hard disk drives. Okay, if you have any smart card utility, you can also use that.
Okay.
Swiping machine or USB, something like that. Fingerprint scanner. All these things you can integrate with this BIOS. And you have this hardware intrusion detection, which is basically another level. For this you need an extra chip called TPM, Trusted Platform Module, which means, let's say for example, now we are talking about security here, right? So okay, you give passwords and all fine. Okay. Now what if somebody is physically stealing your computer? What if you just open the cabinet and unplug the hard disk? Okay, they can put the hard disk as a slave, right? And then they can just copy the data.
They
So
will put
not to
key
prevent
loggers, like keyloggers, like that. They will. We can.
No, keylogger is different. Keylogger is keyboard typing, right? Not keylogger. I'm talking about, say for example, okay, you have a strong password and all fine. Nobody can hack your computer from internet, okay? Or nobody can hack your computer from LAN or Wi-Fi. But what if somebody physically came and took your hard disk,
Yeah.
right?
Alright.
So if they do so, you have this TPM module. It should be in the motherboard, or when you buy the motherboard, you should make sure that you have this TPM chip.
This is still a component, sir, right?
It's a component of the motherboard.
Okay.
It's a chip in the motherboard.
Ah.
Okay, some motherboards have, some motherboards don't have. If you don't have, you can't do anything. You have to change the whole motherboard. You see, motherboard, it's one circuit. Right? If you have add-ons, you can add, like you can add an extra RAM, extra graphic card and all. If you have add-ons. But chips, it's soldered physically. You can't change it.
It's permanent.
If one chip is not working, you have to change the whole motherboard.
I see.
Right? You can't just plug off the chip and you can solder it. That's not possible. So same goes for TPM. So the point is you can do encrypt. You can encrypt the whole disk using this TPM chip. So this TPM chip holds the encryption key. You know encryption, decryption, right?
Yeah.
So the whole data will be scrambled and there will be a big encryption password. Okay. So when you boot, it will ask that big key. That will be big key. You can't type it. It will be it's 128 characters or something. So you can't type it. So you should store that key in the USB. So whoever has the USB, only they can access the hard disk. So even if your hard disk is stolen, if they connect it the other way, it will ask that key. So that key is actually encrypted. And nobody can find
asymmetric.
that key.
Asymmetric.
So you know that encryption, right? Nobody can guess the password.
Asymmetric.
They can't do dictionary attack. They can't do brute force attack. Nothing will work because it's encrypted.
Okay.
So that's TPM. Okay. That also comes under the BIOS. Okay, BIOS. So this is something regarding TPM. Okay, this maybe we can check. Like if you want to check whether your computer, your motherboard has a TPM chip or not, you can try this. If you go to run, you know how to go to run, right? Windows key R, and then you just type tpm.msc. tpm.msc. MSC stands for Microsoft Console.
tpm.ms.
So if you have TPM, it will show you something. If you don't have, it will show
Compatible TPM cannot be found.
compatible TPM cannot be found. So there is TPM, but it says
We don't have.
verify that computer. Okay.
It's turned on in the BIOS.
Okay, I think there is TPM in this motherboard, but I think it's not turned on in the BIOS. So it has to be turned on in the BIOS.
Ano yan? Prefers natin escape. Doing
Depends.
startup build para mag-sa BIOS.
Depende sa computer.
Okay, so all these topics are very huge. Okay, every lesson that we study here is very huge.
Yeah.
You know, even this BIOS you can study for the whole year. Okay, anyway, I will show you the BIOS including this TPM, but if I want to show you, I have to restart and lose all these things. Okay, so that's this lesson. So we will see the BIOS after, we'll see what we can find. So just restart, because if you have anything here, you want to say something, you can say, just restart. And
Escape.
make sure you don't change anything in the BIOS, okay? For viewing it's fine, but don't modify any values. Okay. If you modify, then it will affect the computer. It's very difficult to figure out. There is no reset option, I think. So when you restart after that Dell logo, you can just press F12. F12.
Done basis.
You get only 2-3 seconds, okay? If you skip it, then you have to again restart. So you have this BIOS setup.
Okay, legacy boot. There we go.
So this one?
No, you just press once or twice.
Okay.
BIOS setup. Now I think this motherboard has advanced BIOS. It gives you the GUI BIOS. GUI BIOS. If you go for older
It's the
motherboards, it will be like blue screen, CLI.
So
BIOS setup.
And here you have a lot of options which are not mentioned in the book. Okay, because this is a little bit advanced. I think this is the latest model of Dell. Dell 901. Okay, this 9020 okay, anyway, this is latest. You can just go through. You see this system. A lot of things, it's difficult for you to understand because you are just beginners. These are maybe meant for the professional people. But still, some of the things you can understand.
Like for year, ma-expand pa natin security, performance,
So this is boot sequence.
Mamaya. Na-reset ka. Hindi mo may nag-araw ka dito.
What is the second one? The boot sequence.
Boot sequence.
It's for...
Yeah, about this was the specifies the order that the buyer serves the last one trying to find out their system to be.
For the CD drive?
This
Sir, I want you on this. You on this.
Remove?
Parang,
What?
ano to? Ano start
You on this.
New Windows, huh?
Run with the top.
If you want to install a new operating
System
system.
to change.
Install new operating, you will have a CD, right?
Yeah, I found
Just
it.
put the CD,
Ano yun?
boot from the
Pagka
CD.
nireset mo.
Will guide you. You have to boot from CD.
Pag may kulang.
You press F12, same option, you will have the option boot from CD. Then
Pag may
I will
kulang
show you
sa
when
ano,
we come to the Windows
is parang
portion.
operating system mo hanapin niya.
I think this is hard disk, right? ST500D, I think it's 500. This is the name of the hard disk.
Hard disk, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and the...
So whichever is first, that will be booted by default. I think we don't have this diskette drive. I think that refers to the floppy, I think, or some other drive. We don't have it. So if you want to uncheck, you can uncheck this. Okay. So just like onboard NIC is unchecked. What does it mean? So no need for booting from NIC. It's a good option for us. Because otherwise, every time you start the computer, it will try to find a server to boot. It will take time. But
Okay.
we are not booting from server, right? We are booting from hard disk.
Okay.
Okay.
Like locally.
Yeah. And then if you want to boot from USB, let's say you have a OS in the USB, operating system in the OS.
So
you
that's
boot
the
from.
one.
So you make this on the top, or you have a CD.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you don't have to make it on the top because you have an option called boot from CD, boot from USB. Okay. But in case if that the key or something doesn't work, you can do this. So when you put this on the top, you see using these arrows, and that will be the default boot order, not the hard disk. Okay. There are two kinds of boots we are using legacy boot.
Okay.
There are some differences here. Okay, legacy between UEFI and USB. I think UEFI is for advanced from Windows 7.
What is that again, sir?
There are some differences. If you want, you can search on the internet. I don't have a browser. What I understand is this is the new model of booting, advanced. Legacy means the old one for XP and these kind of systems. Okay. I told you this date and time, right? You see, it's part of BIOS, and this is controlled by the BIOS chip.
Oh, okay.
Now in Windows, I think you have an option to get the date and time online, but by default it is from the system clock.
Yeah. Coming from the battery.
System configuration, integrated NIC enabled.
Yung post, yung mga...
What is NIC?
NIC. Yun yung onboard NIC.
NIC is network interface card.
Network
Simply your network card.
Okay.
Okay, from where you are getting internet connection. The cable you plug in this card. Okay. Serial port. You have COM1 enabled. So the serial ports. Okay. Where you plug your monitor or things like that.
I see.
SATA, it's your hard drive cable, the data cable from your hard disk to your motherboard.
Kapag napin yun, hindi na ganyan ko.
Different drives. Okay, so the drives are basically, the hardware things that
HD.
every device actually requires a drive to make it function. This is not enable USB configuration, enable boot support. If you want to If you don't want USB things to boot, you can just uncheck these things. A lot of things. It should be enabled for Windows 7, 32-bit or 64-bit only. I think multi-display is for if you have two monitors in one. You see the accounts, right? You have two monitors in one.
Parang built-in na sa operating system, di ba? There's a screen
Yes,
resolution,
the
tapos
passwords.
extend display or duplicate.
Yeah, here we go. This TPM, you see? We got the error TPM was not enabled, right? That's because of this. No, TPM is enabled. So if you enable this, you can do this TPM security.
Trusted platform option. Okay.
See, chases intrusion. This is pretty advanced.
Jesus.
Chases mean the box. Actually, you can
Silent.
on silent. That means if somebody is opening the cabinet, okay, you can do something about it. Enable intrusion to report intrusion during post. So somebody has opened. Now, if you enable this, okay, so somebody opened it. Next time you come in and log in, it will tell you that somebody opened your cabinet.
Okay. Wow.
We're gonna notify you.
Yeah, it will not send you an SMS, but still.
This one.
Hindi ko alam yung
CPU.
take for granted lang natin to all this time computer. Ganyan pala sa loob.
There is RAID features are there. RAID means redundant array of independent disks, basically for hardware failure, hard disk failure feature. Those are advanced things. See those things in Windows. Performance. I think here we have this thing. By default, the CPU it doesn't work in its full speed. Enable Intel speed step. It is enabled. It's basically a trade-off between your durability and speed. If you want highly durable CPU, then you can turn this off. So the CPU will last for some time. But if you want a fast CPU, durability is not a problem. Then you can just enable. So CPU will work fast, but its life will be less.
So we can multiple the speed of CPU.
Yeah, you can actually
From
accelerate.
its minimum.
Yeah,
Okay. By this one.
I think it's this, but I think there are some other hyper thread control. See, all these things are regarding performance. If you want, you can enable all these things. Enable turbo boost. Yeah, it's enabled by default. Multi-core support. It's basically whether you want to limit hyper-threading. You have heard multi-threading. Hyper-threading, I think it's a little bit similar to multi-threading. More than one program. If it is doing more than one program, I think it's not multi.